Beloved ones, there are moments in history when heaven does not shout, it breathes. Moments when the veil does not tear, it thins. Moments when truth does not announce itself. It emerges, quietly, unmistakably, as something the soul has always known. This is one of those moments, not because the world is ready, not because religion agrees, not because systems have given permission, but because the appointed time has come. There are mysteries that were never meant to be solved, only recognized. There are identities that were never meant to be argued, only remembered. And there are presences that were never meant to be absent, only hidden until the hour of return. From the beginning, heaven was not a hierarchy alone. It was a family, not a solitary throne, but a household of glory. Father, Mother, Son, Daughter, not as four gods, not as division, but as one divine nature expressed in relational fullness. The ancient writings preserve this more clearly than later theology ever allowed. The Ethiopian texts whisper it. The Peshitta carries its fragrance. The Hebrew prophets echo it in feminine and masculine rhythms that modern readers rush past. Because the problem has never been that Scripture is unclear. The problem is that we were taught not to look. From the earliest ages, the daughter was present. Not created, not adopted, present. She walked with him before the worlds were framed. She delighted before him before dust existed. She was with him when light was first spoken. She was with him when humanity was first formed. And when the plan of embodiment was conceived, when heaven chose to enter flesh, it was not a solo mission. It was a family descent. The son came openly. The daughter came veiled. The mother withdrew. The children followed. This is the part that has been most misunderstood. Because the exile was not only Israel's, it was hers. Because the scattering was not only human, it was angelic. Because when the daughter was sent into the world, she did not go alone. The children of her realm, the watchers, the attendants, the companions of her light, followed her, not in rebellion, not in chaos, but in loyalty. They would not leave her alone. And so the exile began, not just of people, but of presence, not just of tribes, but of realms, not just of nations, but of a daughter hidden in the nations. This is why the ancient writings speak of angels waiting. This is why the Ethiopian canon preserves stories of watchers in suspension. This is why the Peshitta carries language of appointed times and sealed orders. This is why the prophets speak of a her driven out, silenced, afflicted, forgotten, and then gathered again, because heaven itself entered a form of exile. The son walked among men, visible, named, declared. The daughter walked among men, concealed, unnamed, misinterpreted. The mother withdrew into the unseen. The children were scattered into humanity. And the world did not recognize them, because the world was not meant to, yet. The plan was never just salvation. It was restoration. Not just forgiveness, but reunion. Not just redemption of sinners, but the return of a family. This is why the language of marriage is everywhere in the ancient texts, not as metaphor, as memory, because the wedding did not originate on earth. It originates in heaven. The son and the daughter were joined before creation, not physically, essentially. They were one in mission, one in nature, one in delight. And when the son entered flesh, the daughter entered concealment. The marriage did not break. It went into hiding. And this is why the prophets speak of a bride forgotten, a wife forsaken, a woman cast off, a virgin restored, a desolate one becoming married. Because they were seeing her story. The world calls it Israel. The world calls it Zion. The world calls it Jerusalem. The world calls it the city. But the Spirit calls her daughter. And the ancient languages agree. The feminine grammar is not accidental. The maternal imagery is not poetic. The bridal language is not symbolic. It is identity. The daughter was driven out. The daughter was hidden. The daughter was covered. The daughter was misunderstood. The daughter was accused. The daughter was shamed. And the children were scattered with her. Some became human. Some remained watchers. Some waited in realms between. Some were born into families that never knew why they felt foreign. Some grew up sensing they did not belong to the world they were in, not because they were special, but because they were displaced. This is the exile of the angels. This is the exile of the children. This is the exile of the daughter. And the mother watched from the unseen, not absent, restrained, because if the mother had remained visible, the world would have burned. Because if the fullness of the feminine glory had stayed, the plan could not have unfolded. So she withdrew, and the house became empty, and the temple became hollow, and the world became orphaned, and the son wept. He wept over the city because he was weeping over her. He longed to gather the children because he was longing to gather their mother's children. He spoke of a house left desolate because he knew who had left it. And yet he also spoke of return, because the exile was always temporary. The wedding was never canceled. It was postponed. The unveiling was never abandoned. It was delayed. The return was never in doubt. It was appointed. And now, beloved, the time has come. This is why there is a stirring in the spirit. This is why there is a hunger no sermon satisfies. This is why there is a recognition no doctrine explains. This is why there is a pull toward the feminine glory that many cannot name. Because the daughter is standing, not publicly yet, not crowned yet, not announced yet, but present. The children are waking. The watchers are shifting. The angels are stirring. The exiles are remembering. And the wedding is approaching, not as a human ceremony, as a cosmic reunion. The son returns, not alone. The daughter rises, not hidden. The mother reveals, not withdrawn. The children gather, not scattered. This is the return of the household of heaven. The Ethiopian texts speak of sealed ones returning. The Peshitta speaks of appointed seasons of revealing. The prophets speak of a woman clothed, crowned, laboring, and then triumphant. Because the story has always been this. The bride was hidden. The bride is revealed. The bride is vindicated. The bride is restored. The bride is crowned. And the nations will see her. Not because she demands worship, but because heaven will acknowledge her, and the children will run to her, and the angels will stand with her. And the son will rejoice over her, and the mother will embrace her, and the exile will end, not politically, not institutionally, familially, because this was never about religion. It was always about home. And those who feel this are not strange. They are remembering. And those who resist this are not evil. They are unready. But the unveiling does not wait for readiness. It waits for timing. And the timing is now. The daughter is no longer willing to be hidden. The mother is no longer willing to be silent. The son is no longer willing to wait. The children are no longer willing to remain scattered. The wedding is near. The return is near. The gathering is near. The restoration is near. And when it happens, the world will not call it theology. They will call it glory. They will not call it doctrine. They will call it light. They will not call it strange. They will call it familiar, because the soul knows its mother, because creation recognizes its queen, because the children know their home, and the exile will be over. And then something shifts, because in the prophetic record there is a sudden change of tone after the grief, after the exile, after the scattering, after the silence. There is a call to sing, not a command to repent, not a warning to flee, but an invitation to rejoice. The ancient prophets did not speak this lightly. They did not tell the daughter to sing while she was still in chains. They did not tell her to rejoice while she was still driven out. They spoke it at the moment of her restoration. This is why Zephaniah's voice is so tender and so precise, because he is not addressing a city. He is addressing her. He calls her daughter. He calls her beloved. He calls her the one who had been silenced and is now given voice again. This is the sound of the end of exile. This is the sound of heaven saying, "You may come out now." And then comes the most intimate line, the one that changes everything. The king is not merely returning to rule. The king is returning to dwell in her midst, not beside her, not above her, within her. This is not government language. This is marriage language. This is not conquest. This is reunion. This is not coronation. This is homecoming, because the son is not returning to a throne. He is returning to his bride. And the daughter is not being restored to prominence. She is being restored to her place. The place she held before the worlds were framed. The place she lost when she entered exile. The place she kept in secret while the ages turned. And the prophets saw this. They saw her halting. They saw her limping. They saw her wounded. They saw her driven out. They saw her shamed. And then they saw her gathered. Not by force. Not by decree. By recognition. Because when the king stands in her midst, she does not need to announce herself. Creation will know. This is why the promise is not just restoration. It is vindication. This is why the promise is not just return. It is honor. This is why the promise is not just healing. It is praise among all peoples, not because she seeks it, but because heaven declares it. The one who was hidden will be seen. The one who was mocked will be honored. The one who was silenced will be celebrated. The one who was driven out will be welcomed. And this is not for her ego. It is for cosmic balance. Because the world has been out of order without her. Because creation has been disfigured without the feminine glory. Because the family has been incomplete without the daughter present. And the children, oh, the children, this is the part that breaks heaven's heart. Because the children did not fall. They followed. They did not rebel. They remained loyal. When the daughter entered exile, they entered with her. When she was hidden, they were hidden. When she was scattered, they were scattered. Some became human. Some became watchers. Some became wanderers. Some became seekers. But all of them became displaced. This is why so many feel like strangers in their own lives. This is why so many feel homesick without knowing for what. This is why so many feel drawn to something they cannot name. Because the children remember, not in the mind, in the spirit. And the Ethiopian writings preserve the ache of this. They speak of watchers waiting for restoration. They speak of appointed times when the hidden ones are revealed. They speak of sealed orders that are not destroyed, only delayed. And the Peshitta carries the same breath. It speaks in the language of household, of kinship, of appointed seasons, of return. Not abstract theology, family vocabulary. Because heaven never stopped being a family. Earth simply forgot. And now the remembrance is beginning. This is why the stirring feels different than previous revivals. This is why the hunger feels deeper than doctrine. This is why the ache feels older than this lifetime. Because this is not a move. It is a return. And the wedding. Oh, the wedding. This is not a human ceremony in the sky. This is not clouds and harps and distant bliss. This is the rejoining of what was never meant to be separated. The son has been faithful. The daughter has been faithful. The mother has been watching. The father has been waiting. And the children have been longing. The marriage was not broken. It was hidden. The covenant was not dissolved. It was veiled. The union was not lost. It was protected. Because if the world had seen her before the time, it would have devoured her. Because if the powers had recognized her, they would have attacked her. Because if religion had known her, it would have tried to control her. So heaven hid her. In nations, in bloodlines, in stories, in shadows, in parables, in feminine grammar, in poetic language, in whispers. And now the hiding is ending. This is why Zephaniah's promise is so fierce and so tender at the same time. Because it is not only about gathering, it is about reversal. Shame becomes honor. Silence becomes song. Exile becomes home. Scattering becomes gathering. Hidden becomes revealed. And the king stands in her midst. Beloved, this is the wedding, not in one moment. In stages of unveiling. First she stands. Then she is recognized. Then she is crowned. Then she is joined. Then she is revealed. And the nations will see her. Not because she seeks visibility, but because heaven will no longer conceal her. And the children will run to her. Not because she calls them, but because they know her voice. And the angels will stand with her. Not because they are commanded, but because they have always belonged to her. And the sun will rejoice over her. Not because she is new, but because she is home. And the mother will embrace her. Not because she was lost, but because she has returned. And the exile will end, not politically, not institutionally, not ceremonially, but familially, because the house will be whole again. This is why the prophets spoke the way they did. This is why they used feminine language. This is why they wept and rejoiced in the same breath. This is why they saw a woman laboring, a woman crowned, a woman restored, a woman praised. They were seeing her story. And this is why you feel this. Not because you invented it, but because you recognize it. Because something in you knows her. Because something in you remembers her. Because something in you is responding to her. This is not imagination. It is resonance. And that is the most dangerous thing to the powers of darkness. Because you cannot argue someone out of recognition. You can only delay it, but the delay is over. The daughter is standing. The Queen of Zion is rising. The children are waking. The angels are shifting. The wedding is approaching. The return is unfolding, and the king is in her midst. And when the daughter stands, everything else rearranges. Because creation was not built for hierarchy alone. It was built for harmony. The earth was not designed to be ruled by power. It was designed to be governed by presence. And this is why the prophets did not see a throne only. They saw a woman restored. They saw a daughter rejoicing. They saw a queen unveiled. They saw a bride returning to her place. The language of Zephaniah is not accidental. He does not say the king returns to the city. He says the king returns to her midst. This is the pattern. This is the order. This is the secret architecture of heaven. The son does not reign without the daughter. The king does not rule without the queen. The throne is not solitary. It is shared. Because dominion was never meant to be masculine alone. Because authority was never meant to be singular. Because government in heaven is relational. And when the exile ends, this order is restored. The daughter does not stand behind him. She stands with him, not as competition, not as replacement, as completion. This is what Isaiah was seeing when he spoke of light rising over her. Not only over a people, over a feminine presence. This is what Zechariah was seeing when he spoke of the Lord dwelling in her midst and nations joining through her. This is what Zephaniah was seeing when he called her to sing because the king had returned to her. The prophets did not separate the reign and the woman. They did not divide the throne and the daughter. They did not envision power without presence. They saw union, and when the Son returns, the world will expect judgment, but heaven will bring order. When the Son returns, the world will expect dominance, but heaven will establish governance. When the Son returns, the world will expect hierarchy, but heaven will restore family. This is the government of heaven on earth. Not a system, not a regime, not an institution, a household. The Father as source, the Mother as glory, the Son as king, the daughter as queen, and the children as heirs. This is the structure the prophets saw but could not fully name. This is the architecture the ancient texts hint at in feminine grammar and bridal language. This is the order the Ethiopian writings preserve in their stories of appointed ones and restored watchers. This is the breath the Peshitta carries in its language of household, kinship, and return. Because the millennium is not just peace, it is reunification, not only of nations, but of realms, not only of peoples, but of orders of being. This is where the children come in. The children of the exile are not ornaments. They are not spectators. They are not background figures. They are heirs. They were scattered with her. They are gathered with her. They were hidden with her. They are revealed with her. They were displaced with her. They are restored with her. Some will awaken as human. Some will awaken as watchers. Some will awaken as servants. Some will awaken as governors. Not because of merit. Because of origin. Because the millennium is not reward-based. It is order-based. And those who came with her will stand with her. This is why Isaiah saw sons and daughters coming to her. This is why Zechariah saw nations joining through her. This is why Zephaniah saw the driven out gathered and honored. Because the children return through the mother. The nations come through the daughter. The world is healed through the feminine presence. And the sun reigns beside her. Not above her. Not without her. Beside her. This is the visible reign. Not hidden. Not veiled. Not symbolic. Visible. The king and the queen. The son and the daughter. The bridegroom and the bride. Not as mythology. As restored order. This is why the prophets spoke of crowns. This is why they spoke of garments. This is why they spoke of beauty replacing ashes. This is why they spoke of shame being reversed. This is why they spoke of praise replacing reproach. Because they were seeing her coronation, not as ego, as function. Because the daughter does not rule for herself. She rules for the children. She governs for the displaced. She tends for the wounded. She nurtures the broken. She gathers the scattered. This is why the prophets used maternal language. This is why they used womb imagery. This is why they spoke of nursing, gathering, caring, embracing, because her reign is not harsh. It is healing, and the Son's reign is not distant. It is relational, and together they restore the earth. The millennium is not heaven escaping earth. It is heaven entering earth. It is the government of heaven becoming visible. It is the family of heaven becoming present. It is the order of heaven becoming embodied. This is why the prophets saw nations streaming. This is why they saw kings bowing. This is why they saw light rising. This is why they saw singing returning. Because when the daughter is revealed, the world breathes again. And the children will finally be home. No longer hidden, no longer wandering, no longer confused, no longer displaced. They will know who they are. They will know where they belong. They will know whose they are. Not because someone tells them, because their spirit will remember. And the angels will take their places. And the watchers will be restored. And the orders will be healed. And the realms will align. This is the government of heaven on earth. Not politics. Not power. Presence. Not control. Not dominance. Order. Not fear. Not force. Family. This is why Zephaniah's song is so tender. Because he is not announcing a regime. He is announcing a reunion. This is why Isaiah's light is so warm. Because it is not the spotlight. It is home fire. This is why Zechariah's dwelling is so intimate. because it is not a visitation. It is a return, and this is why you feel this so deeply, because you are not responding to information. You are responding to recognition. Something in you knows this story. Something in you remembers this order. Something in you responds to her, not because you are her, not because you replace her, but because you are hers. And that is the difference. The children recognize their mother. The citizens recognize their queen. The creation recognizes its order, and the exile ends. And when the daughter stands beside the son, the world will feel it before it understands it. Because this will not be announced with trumpets first. It will be felt in the atmosphere. The earth will soften, the air will quiet, the violence will lose its hunger, the striving will lose its urgency. Because the queen will be present. Not hidden, not symbolic, not interpreted, present. The prophets did not see a solitary throne. They saw a shared dominion. They saw a restored pair. They saw the king rejoicing over her. They saw the daughter shining beside him. This is the visible reign, not as political theater, not as religious hierarchy, as cosmic order restored. The son does not rule over the daughter. The daughter does not rule apart from the son. They reign together. Because authority in heaven is not about control. It is about union. This is why Isaiah spoke of light rising over her. Not over him alone, over her. This is why Zechariah spoke of the Lord dwelling in her midst. Not merely visiting, dwelling. This is why Zephaniah heard the call for her to sing, because the king had returned to her. The prophets saw a feminine throne restored. They saw the balance return. They saw the house become whole again. And when this happens, the millennium does not begin as a political era. It begins as a familial age. The children return. Not as infants, not as dependents, as heirs. The children of the exile, the ones scattered through nations, bloodlines, realms, and histories, are gathered, not by force, by recognition. They know her. They know her voice. They know her presence. They do not need to be told who their mother is. Their spirit will respond. This is why the prophets spoke of sons and daughters coming to her. This is why they saw nations streaming. This is why they saw the driven out gathered. Because the children return through her. The millennium is not a reward system. It is a restoration system. The children are restored to their place. The watchers are restored to their order. The angels are restored to their posts. The human and the heavenly are reconciled. This is why the Ethiopian texts speak of watchers waiting, not fallen, waiting. This is why the ancient writings speak of appointed times, not chaos, timing. This is why the Peshitta carries language of household and kinship, not hierarchy, family, because the millennium is not ruled by law. It is governed by relationship. And the government of heaven is restored, not as a bureaucracy, not as an institution, as a household order, the father as source, the mother as glory, the son as king, the daughter as queen, the children as heirs, the angels as ministers, the nations as guests, creation as home. This is the government of heaven on earth, not power over. Presence within, not domination. Alignment, not fear. Belonging. The feminine throne is restored, not as a rival to the masculine. Because creation was designed to be governed by wisdom as well as authority, by nurture as well as command, by beauty as well as strength, by womb as well as word. This is why the world has been so violent, because the mother was absent. This is why the world has been so harsh, because the feminine glory was hidden. This is why the world has been so wounded, because the womb of creation was closed. And now the mother returns, not in noise, not in spectacle, in presence, The ancient prophets did not always name her, but they felt her withdrawal. The temple became empty. The house became desolate. The glory departed, and the son wept. Because when the mother leaves, the house becomes hollow. When the womb closes, the world becomes barren. When the feminine presence withdraws, creation loses its softness. But she did not abandon. She withdrew to protect, to preserve, to wait, and now she returns, not as an idea, as glory. The womb of creation opens again. The earth responds. The land heals. The animals rest. The waters clear. The air softens. Because the mother is present. This is the healing of the womb of creation. Not metaphor. Function. Because the world was designed to be gestated, not exploited. To be nurtured, not consumed. To be held, not conquered. And when the mother returns, creation exhales. The pain leaves. The trauma dissolves. The memory of violence fades. And the children feel safe. This is why Isaiah saw comfort. This is why Zephaniah heard singing. This is why Zechariah saw a dwelling. Because when the mother is present, the house is alive. And the family is sealed. Not by decree, by union. The father, mother, son, and daughter stand revealed, not as separate gods. As one divine household, the children gather. The angels align. The realms reconcile. The orders heal. And the exile ends. Not because a timeline finished, because the family is whole. This is the final sealing. Not branding, belonging. Not ownership, identity. Not hierarchy, kinship. And then, the most tender thing of all, God dwells with his household, not visiting, not appearing, dwelling. The ancient promise is fulfilled. He is not above them. He is with them, not distant, near, not separated, present. This is the eternal dwelling. Not heaven away from earth, heaven within earth. Not God removed, God at home. The prophets saw this, but could not describe it fully. They saw the city adorned. They saw the bride revealed. They saw the dwelling restored. But they were seeing what we are now approaching. The house of God is not a building. It is a family. The throne of God is not a chair. It is a shared seat. The kingdom of God is not a territory. It is a household, and the daughter reigns beside the son, and the mother dwells among them, and the father rests in his house. And the children run freely, and the angels serve joyfully. And creation breathes again. This is the end of exile. This is the end of separation. This is the end of fracture. This is the return, not of one, of all. And this is why Zephaniah heard singing. Because the house is alive again. This is why Isaiah saw light. Because the womb is open again. This is why Zechariah saw a dwelling. Because the family is home again. And this is why you feel this. Not because you are inventing something, but because something in you is remembering home. You are not forcing revelation. You are responding to recognition. And that is sacred. And that is safe. And that is now. And so, beloved ones, we do not end with answers. We end with recognition. We do not conclude with doctrine. We conclude with remembrance. Because the deepest truths are not learned, they are awakened. If something in you stirred while listening, if something in you felt both unfamiliar and deeply known, if something in you softened or ached or wept without explanation, that is not imagination. That is memory, not memory of events, memory of order, memory of home, memory of family. The exile has been long. The silence has been heavy. The hiding has been necessary. But it is ending. The daughter is standing. The son is returning. The mother is near. The children are waking. The house is opening. The family is gathering, not in chaos, not in spectacle, not in fear, in order, in gentleness, in glory. This is not the end of the story. It is the end of separation. This is not the end of the world. It is the end of exile. This is not destruction. It is restoration. This is not escape. It is return. And you, dear one, are not late. You are not outside. You are not forgotten. If you are hearing this, you are being gathered, not claimed, not owned, not recruited, gathered. Because the family is coming home. Because the household is being sealed. Because God is dwelling with his own. Because the mother is returning. Because the daughter is crowned. Because the son is reigning. Because the children are safe. Because creation is healing. Because the house is whole. And so we do not strive. We do not force. We do not argue. We receive. We recognize. We rest. May your spirit be at peace. May your heart be steady. May your soul be comforted. May your body be held. May your path be clear. May your home be near. And may the God of the household, Father, Mother, Son, and Daughter, gather you gently into the order of love, the safety of family, and the rest of his dwelling. The exile is ending. The house is open. Welcome home. If this teaching was helpful, please like, comment, and share to help these insights reach those who are seeking truth. To our new subscribers, welcome. And if you haven't yet, we invite you to join us as a member and become part of our growing family. You will find the link in the description box or our homepage. We are praying for you and standing with you in the light of the two Messiahs. If you'd like to support the ministry, you can visit our store or bless our dear brother Michael through the Buy Me a Coffee link in the description. Thank you for your love and encouragement, and stay tuned for our next video. May the spirit of wisdom and peace rest upon you always.